Hi guys, I'm Nick. I'm the CEO of ILUS International, ILUS. I'm also the founding person behind the ILUS coin. So I wanted to talk today a little about the journey of the ILUS coin, what it's about, what it does, and sort of the roadmap forward. Now I've come under a little bit of pressure because I haven't put my face enough to the coin and probably underestimated the need for the market to actually see the people behind a coin. And I think, I'll start off by saying that the crypto space has been a real learning curve, for the team behind it. And I feel, after, I don't know, since April, May, whenever we launched exactly, but, in that period, the team have learned a lot. We've come a long way. We've hired and fired a lot of different people. And ultimately, we're now comfortable that we're in a really good place to now take this coin to the next level. So if we look back at the history behind it, the coin started off as a branding and agreement between ILUS International and an investment family office fund called TOTO Capital. So TOTO Capital owns the rights to the brand name of ILUS to use on a coin, in which in return TOTO Capital will be investing funds into ILUS. That aside, if we now look at the actual coin and the tokenomics and everything behind what the actual coin is about, and the crypto space that we operate, that we're operating in, I think there's some key points that we need to sort of understand and identify and be aware of. So that the first thing is, what is this coin about? Because I think a lot of people have asked, a lot of people don't understand what it actually does, what it's for, and probably my fault. We haven't been proactive enough in the awareness and the PR around marketing that side of the coin. And we've also been working very hard behind the scenes. The team have been working very hard behind the scenes, getting everything ready and trying to pull things in line with the roadmap, which I'll talk on in a little while. So the first thing is, what is this coin about? Let's start there. So if we look at the world, as a whole, the first world major cities typically have quite good access to firefighting products. So if there's a fire in New York, the fire brigade in New York are well equipped, they can deal with it, they have government funding, piece of cake. If we now look at, let's say, the outer areas, the little villages, the little towns, and especially the emerging markets in the third world, the likes of India, South Africa, Brazil, some of these sort of markets, even up in sort of the very, very rural areas in California, or some of the more rural states, those little villages don't have the same access to firefighting, but they have the same risks. People's houses still catch alight. There's still forest fires that burn people's houses down. People's cars still catch alight, and people sadly lose their lives. And especially now, again, if we look at the emerging markets and the rural, the third world type countries, people are living in shanty towns. Shanty towns don't have proper electricity, so they either, let's say, stealing electricity from the power lines. They are using paraffin or some type of gas cookers, portable cookers, which catch alight. They're typically quite uneducated, so the fire risks are significant. And especially in the shanty town side, when they erected a shanty town, there's no town planning consideration, zero. One guy walks down the street, sees an area that's unoccupied, gets some aluminium sheeting or metal sheeting, a street sign or whatever, puts up a tent and starts to build a house. That's it. There's no planning. The next guy comes along and sees that he's living there and attaches his house to it. And before you know it, you've got tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands in some of the shanty towns in Brazil and South Africa, with no access for a fire brigade to really work in there. In some places, it's not safe for them to work in there. And when a fire happens, it just spreads like wildfire. Hundreds of people lose their lives and their livelihoods and their homes. So the risk is real. The fire risk is very, very real globally. And those people do not have access to money or proper firefighting equipment. And they are still human beings that deserve to have their lives protected. It's a human right to have to live safely. And in the volunteer fire brigades in the first world, let's say in the US or UK or Europe, whatever it might be, the governments can't provide huge firefighting capacity to every tiny little village in the whole world. It's just not practically possible. A tiny little village that's got I don't know, 10,000 people in it, for example, to have a big fire truck that costs a few $100,000, the maintenance behind it, the team to manage it, the people to actually ride on it, the equipment that needs to go on it, it's millions of dollars, in cost. And so a lot of those smaller villages work with what we call volunteer fire brigades. So this will be, 10 or 20 guys or 100 guys, whatever, depending on the size of the city, village, whatever, that club together and agree in this to give their time voluntarily, usually for free, to fight fires when there's a call out. So when there's an incident, there'll be a call, they'll radio call around their mates and say, we need to go put this fire out. And they'll use whatever equipment they have, literally whatever they have. And it's their responsibility to find money to buy the equipment. So in some instances, they can claim a small government grant or they can claim some subsidy. Some instances, they may have a sponsor. There may be a factory in that area or a wealthy guy in that area that provides them some capital every year to buy the equipment and do whatever they got to do. But really, in the end of the day, most of them are operating on a shoestring budget and they do not have the money to buy the equipment they need to. But when I say they don't have the money, they don't have the capital lump sum, the capex expense to go and buy a $50,000 second-hand fire truck or a whole bunch of fire pumps and nozzles. They don't have that $50,000 or $20,000 or in some cases even $10,000 up front. They just don't have it. But they need it. To save lives, they need that equipment. So what they can do is they do fundraising and community things and fun fairs and big, charity lotteries and whatever their fundraising, their charitable fundraising mechanisms are to raise money to buy equipment on a monthly basis. So let's say they might need $50,000 worth of equipment, hypothetically. To raise $50,000 to go and buy this equipment before fire season is quite a big ask. But to be able to spend $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 a month for that equipment is very achievable. From their fundraising efforts, they can easily raise $500 to $2,000 a month or maybe a bit more to buy the equipment they need. But the lease financing business, so the lease financing business, the capital financing business, it's common in normal conventional businesses. You need to buy a big fire truck. If you don't have the cash, you'll go to an asset financer who will provide you the vehicle and you'll lease it and you'll pay on a monthly basis. To volunteers, they don't have the balance sheet, they don't have the asset base, they don't have the deliverable proven cash flow model behind that to actually be able to pass a credit profile to an asset base, an asset lender. And asset lenders, they're not in that social responsibility space. That's not what they do. They want to lend to commercially strong businesses and run their business. So this is the gap that the coin fills. So the coin, the revenue from the coin and the coin sales and the capital and the money that comes in from coin sales from the coin holders will buy this equipment for those volunteers. So a little volunteer fire brigade may need to buy a small fire truck or a whole lot of fire beaters or maybe a new fire pump, $5,000 fire pump, whatever it might be. They need that equipment. They can apply to the coin. The ILUS coin will physically buy that piece of equipment for them and provide it to them. And they will then pay a leasing fee, an affordable leasing fee over a period of time, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, irrelevant. And it's based on a profitable type of business. So yes, it's, let's say, socially responsible / charitable, that they now have the equipment they need today to go and fight fires. Fantastic. It's saving lives immediately. Exactly what the coin has set out. It's immediately saving lives. However, their financial and the financial model behind it is still a profitable model because they are servicing that asset lease on a monthly basis or quarterly basis as and when they can afford it. And that money comes back into a pool, and then that money will either be redeployed to buy new equipment for another fire brigade, of which the money will come back, or that money may be used to buy back coins and burn coins, pushing up the price of the coin, or a combination. We may receive $100,000 in the quarter, $200,000, $1 million, whatever we receive in the quarter from lease purchasing will come back into the pool. Some may go to coin, some may go back to put equipment back and save more lives. Ultimately, we want to save lives. That's really the reality of the coin. That is what it's about. But we're also very realistic that there's a sort of a maximum cap of how much social investment and social responsibility an investor will take. So a coin holder, for example, may be quite willing to buy $500 worth of ILUS coins as his feel good, socially responsible, I've done the right thing. But if he knew he was going to make profit out of that $500, he may be willing to put down $2,000 or $2,500 or $5,000 or $10,000 because he knows he's saving more lives and ultimately he's making profit. So we do live in this, this double-sided coin or double-sided edge of the sword, if we want to say, where the social responsibility is very important, but so is the capitalist side of it, that people want to make a return. And we believe if we can deliver, a really solid return to coin holders, they'll want to invest more. The more they invest, the more the coin price goes up, the more they win. But all that time, the coin is going to a good cause of saving lives. More and more volunteers around the world will get the equipment they need. So, that model works extremely well. So people may ask, what is the link to ILUS? What is that all about? So the link to ILUS, ILUS, the public company, is actually a really simple one to understand. The first thing is that ILUS has a big shareholder base, a massive shareholder base, and I'd like to say quite a loyal following from the shareholders, which help to spread the word of what the coin is about, what the coin can do. Those investors or shareholders invest in ILUS, the public company, because ultimately they want to make a profit, but they also want to make a difference in saving lives, which is what ILUS does. ILUS, the products within ILUS are there to save lives, save assets, save lives, save the environment. So those shareholder base understand that model. So having the coin linked to that public company, by branding association, allows us easier access and easier ability and more credibility to tell the world of what this coin is about. It's about saving lives, it's connected to a public company, and ultimately there's a connection between TOTO Capital, who own and manage the coin, and ILUS. There's a financial connection that TOTO invests in ILUS, and ILUS supports TOTO with the ability to use its brand name, which is already well known, already has thousands of people knowing and talking about it in the public space. So that's sort of the underlying connection. But the benefit to ILUS and the benefit to the coin is as follows. So ILUS have the latest, most modern technology in life-saving and firefighting. So a volunteer fire brigade needs to buy equipment, they need to buy a small truck, they need to buy nozzles, whatever they might need to buy. We know now the coin will be able to finance that. But the question now comes down to, what equipment do they buy? And where do they buy it from? So the coin will pay for it, but where do they buy it from and what is it? So this is now where ILUS International, ILUS, comes to the table. That ILUS have the most advanced equipment, have manufacturing facilities around the world that can actually deliver this equipment. And it may not always be a totally new piece of ILUS equipment. It may well be an old vehicle that they've managed to source or find somewhere, and ILUS, gives it a bit of a refurbish, a bit of new coat of paint, brings it up to the latest spec, and equips it with ILUS equipment. So the volunteer fire brigade gets the latest equipment, which will help them save lives, from ILUS International, from the public company. And the public company is there to support that volunteer fire brigade with maintenance, with more equipment, advice, consultancy, connection to any other things that they may need. And that's all been made possible by the link between the coin and ILUS International. Because ILUS International on its own would not probably be able to supply to that volunteer fire brigade, because the volunteer fire brigade could not pay for it. And ILUS International is a public company. It's a financially driven business. It's a profitable business. As much as we have a social, the company has a social responsibility and a social arm and a charitable arm. At the end of the day, it's still got to deliver revenues, deliver profits for the shareholders. And if it doesn't, it cannot continue to grow, which means it cannot continue to do all other great things that it wants to do. So that coin is the bridge between the social responsibility and the capital markets. So that allows the volunteers to need equipment and save lives, get the equipment from ILUS, and the coin pays for it, and the coin holders get a return as the coin price goes up, and potentially more the coins are burnt, bought back and burnt, or that money cycles and delivers as a dividend or whatever to the coin holders. So winning is across the whole channel. So we've now got more people's lives are saved. The volunteers have more equipment that's better and safer equipment, so the firefighters that are volunteers are safer. ILUS International is supplying the equipment, so not all the time, but the majority of the time. So ILUS International is benefiting, which means the ILUS shareholders are benefiting. The ILUS coin holders are benefiting because they own coins and will get a return and the coin price goes up, which they can obviously trade over mainstream exchanges. So it's a win-win-win-win across the board. And that is really the meaning and the purpose and the validity behind this coin. It's not some crazy meme or NFT or some crazy idea that we just came up with and thought, what a great way to raise money. It's so far from that. There's a lot more substance to this coin. And I'd like to say that it's one of the few coins that actually have a real life purpose. In the early days, we were kind of, let's say, not necessarily criticized, but we had a lot of questions and a lot of challenges from people saying, well, you're not a blockchain business, you're nothing to do with IT, you're nothing to do with, I don't know, any sort of crypto type of thing. So why are you doing a coin? Well, I believe, and we believe, it's sort of, let's say, as a group of people across from TOTO Capital, from ILUS and shareholders and their volunteers, that what we're trying to do by ultimately providing life-saving equipment to volunteers cannot be done through a normal conventional capital markets. It just can't be done. So unless ILUS International just sponsored it, there's no other way that it could be done. There is no physical other way that it could be done. If you set up a charitable company to do it, you couldn't trade those shares on a market, which means your access to capital wouldn't be there, which means you wouldn't be able to buy the equipment, you'd rely on sponsorship, which means you're back to where they are today. But tokenizing that concept, creating a token that people can buy and trade that allows that whole lifeline, that whole life cycle to happen, is a no-brainer. It's really a no-brainer. The investor base around crypto typically is a millennial, sub 35 age group, who have a strong social awareness, have a really strong social awareness, and they want that feel good factor. So what's better than being able to invest in a coin that saves lives, having the feel good factor, and having a financial return? So that's why we tokenize the business. That's why we put it onto a blockchain, and why we provided a token or a coin behind it, and allow people to trade the coin and give people the opportunity to make a benefit, a financial benefit, and a gain from it, and at the same time everybody wins. So that's the reason for it. We don't believe it could be done any other way, which is probably why it's never been done. And on that basis, it doesn't matter that we're not doing something on the blockchain or some crypto project or the next blockchain. It doesn't matter. It's actually irrelevant. The point is we're using a tokenization scheme across the blockchain, so people have safety, the blockchain safety, and are able to trade and make a profit. No brainer as far as we're concerned. And the market seems to have seen it like that, and now we just need more exposure. So where are we on the actual project? Right, so the coin has been developed, it's been launched, it had the pre-sale. The pre-sale was obviously at a slightly average time of the market where Ethereum was going nuts and the crypto prices were collapsing and rising and all over the show, which obviously didn't work particularly well, in our favor. However, it did go well. Ultimately, it went very well, and it got quite good adoption. Not as much as we would have liked, but it got very good adoption, and it's been spoken about. And I think the period that we've now gone through, we've listed on Pancake, we've listed on LA Token, and we're about to list on another exchange. So, on that basis, on our roadmap, we've delivered what we said we would. However, we are very well aware we are behind where we need to be on the roadmap. We're well aware of that. Hence me being here today to talk and sort of bring you up to speed of where we are and where we're going and what we're trying to do. So we very much believe in this coin. I think the last few months have proven the validity of the coin. People have seen this isn't another crypto project that's going to disappear overnight. This project has got validity, it's got longevity, and ultimately we will deliver on it. That is what we do, and me as a person being Nick, that is what I do. I make sure I deliver and I make sure I perform. So on that basis, this coin will be a success. It may take a while to sort of get that adoption, but we believe as that marketing and as that sort of branding starts to get out around the world, slowly that traction will slowly come. And the moment it starts to trigger some bigger buyers of coins, then naturally we're going to have a bigger movement. And we're getting to that point. The bigger guys don't jump into, let's say a smallish token with big waves of money until they've seen that it's valid and it's going to work and the people behind it are credible and blah, blah, blah. And we're reaching that point now quite quickly. But we're well aware that we need to do a number of things, which we're well on with. So the first thing is we need to create volume. We need to generate volume in the trading. So it gives people confidence that they can dip in, buy some coins, sell the coins when they want to sell the coins, and the price is moving positively. But the volume, we need to work very hard at creating this volume. And that's, we also hope that the coin community on its own would also, help to spread that word, and the ILUS shareholders will help to spread that word. But particularly focusing on the volume itself. One interesting thing that we've found is that this crypto space is so new and it's so much in its infancy that actually not many people know anything about it or how to actually do it. People will tell you they are a crypto expert, they are a PR expert, they're a crypto analyst, whatever. Very few people, very few, can actually do what they say they can and actually deliver it. Very few. So even from a basis of the influencer level, so right the way from influencers, guys on the chat shows, on the chat channels, the social media channels, the technical analysts, the PR companies, the social media companies, almost none of them, and I'd go so far as to say 99, 98% of them don't know what they're doing. They are still learning because crypto is so new. I don't mean that disrespectfully that they're idiots. That's not what I'm saying at all. Hindsight, they're bloody smart people. But what I mean is they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what works yet. Because this market, A, is so new, but it is evolving so quickly and so fast into so many different spheres. I mean, just only a couple of years ago, we didn't even have NFTs. Now NFTs are the most spoken thing. So everybody's trying to figure out how do NFTs interact. Now people are trying to work out how do the different wallets interact. Everybody's trying to really figure it. They're sort of working it out as they go. But obviously everybody's identified, or people have identified, the opportunity in the market. So people have come along and saying, I'm a PR company specializing in crypto. But actually, because there's so few crypto coins in the world and so few proven ones, what they really mean is we would want to be in crypto. We've tried with crypto and we're learning and we're one of the few that are in crypto, so give us a go. That's really what they're saying. They're not coming along and saying we are a proven crypto company and we can do the world for you, which obviously took us a while. It's taken us several months to understand that at the end of the day, everybody's learning in the crypto space. So the coin holders' money really is for projects, although in the tokenomics it says there's an allocation for marketing. We haven't really utilized that. A little bit has gone to marketing from the coin holders, but not very much, because we want that money to go to life-saving appliances. As we start to get more and more, let's say expertise in it, then no doubt we'll start to increase the marketing, the amount of marketing that we spend, but so should the coin price go up, which means that the same amount of money is still going to get to the life-saving devices that we need to get to the volunteers. What we learned is we tried hiring influencers, we tried hiring marketing guys, PR agencies. We've tried them all. And almost none of them have actually added much value to what we've actually done. What really has worked well is where we've done things ourselves. So why should we pay some other guys to learn on our money when actually we might as well just learn in-house and keep those skills in-house? So that's where we've got to, and that's what we've done. We've now employed an in-house team. Previously, we just had one marketing manager. Now we have an entire in-house team. We have a general manager who's responsible for delivering the strategy and the roadmap of the coin. He's fully employed. We'll introduce him later on in over the coming weeks and months, and he'll start to be a face behind the coin as well. But we've now got a full-time general manager behind the coin. We've got two front-face marketing guys who are very much involved with the influencers and marketing on through the social media channels. And then we've also got a social media digital marketing expert. So we've got a whole team that are in-house on our own payroll. They're not external agencies. And so when we're learning and we're keeping those skills in-house. and we're getting better and better and better. Now, the more that team learns and the more that team grows and the more money we throw at that team, the more we can expect a good results. And we now have a very aggressive marketing strategy that they're actually implementing, which does involve PRs, which we've been a little bit relaxed with because we found that the PRs we did had zero impact. They just wasted money, and we don't want to waste money that can go to saving people's lives. So we stopped the PRs. Now we feel that we've got a good PR strategy, so we're going to light up our PR strategy again, but again prepared in-house and rolled through the PR agencies. We're also going to increase our social media paid advertising and organic advertising. The paid advertising through social media is not actually that easy because most platforms don't allow you to advertise crypto, but we have a strategy around that. So again, that will be starting to light up over the next few weeks and months, which should again drive more traffic. And we're now starting to get more engaged with influencers, but not just random influencers who take money and do nothing. But these are actually people who believe in the coin, who will actually sit behind the coin and are not necessarily financial people. They're actually people that are directly connected with the volunteer fire brigades, who can actually bring their social story and actually bring that compelling life-saving story to potential coin holders. Because that's what people need to understand, that this coin has a real purpose. And you as a coin holder or a potential coin holder can make a difference. With the money sitting in your back pocket that you might buy a glass of wine, a beer with tonight, or a chocolate or a McDonald's meal, that small difference across thousands of people can save people's lives. And the more that volume comes, the more we expect that we will attract bigger players. And the more successful ILUS International gets, our sales team are also sort of motivated to try and spread the word amongst the communities that they work in, and we're trying to get some, let's say, bigger sponsor type player people to buy coins as their social responsibility as part of it, an ILUS International initiative. So we have a lot of things going on. We're very, very conscious that we need to deliver on that, and we're taking the right steps forward. The team are in place. I'm very happy and very comfortable with the team that are in place. I really believe in them, and I think you should too. And we're looking forward to a very active 2022, which leads me on to the roadmap. As I touched on a little while ago, it didn't necessarily go as smoothly as we would have liked for this initial period in terms of the volume, the activity, and particularly the awareness campaigns that we were trying to drive. As I said before, just hiring PR agencies and marketing agencies didn't work particularly well because none of them actually know what they're doing. They're all still trying to learn how to do it. Or not all, but let's say the majority of them. So, and especially because our coin isn't a pump and dump type of coin. That's not what we're trying to do. It's not, it's not a Dodge coin or a Shibu or whatever. This is a real life coin, a real life purpose. So there's a much more substance behind the marketing. It's not just relying on thousands of people saying buy, 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 buy. Okay, sell, 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 or an Elon Musk giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's not. We're not that type of coin. We have to build a real coin-based usership. A real base of people that want to buy the coin, want to save lives, want to be part of the journey, want to be part of the story. Probably some of you will be ILUS public company shareholders anyway, and want to be both sides of it. And as I've said, there's very much a focus on delivering a profit to you. So it's good for you to be on both sides. We would like that, we would expect that, and we'd hope to see more of that. But coming back to the roadmap in particular, we did get a little bit off the timings of our roadmap because we found that we weren't able to get the penetration and the awareness that we wanted to get in this early period. We've now pulled that back on, and we're now catching up that space rapidly with the team we've employed. So we're starting to claw back that. We are in the process of developing the leasing platform, which we're a little bit behind on. But we hope to be able to roll out that leasing platform to actually allow the volunteers to apply for their leases or for their, let's say, equipment that they might need. So we hope to be able to release that. I'm very much hoping this year, but it might be into January of 2022, which we'll be revising. I think, as I've said, we'll be revising the roadmap to reflect the realistic story. Now we're actually in it. I think perhaps it's something that crypto is maybe a little bit guilty of. In particular, we were guilty at this stage. A business is a crypto coin is a business. And I think that's one thing that potentially I personally underestimated. I think you see all these crazy stories of a coin being worth billions of dollars and there's nothing behind it. So you naturally think if you've got something really good, of course it's going to go well. But actually, I probably underestimated the amount of work and the amount of effort that it needed to go into it. It is no different to a public company. It's no different to any other business. It has to have all the elements that go behind it. It cannot be two kids in a garage launching a coin and expecting it to be successful. Ultimately, it won't go anywhere. And I think that's probably why there's so many thousands of coins out there that just don't go anywhere and just, fail in the end. Probably after 3 months, they realize it's going nowhere and they take it down. We're very fortunate that we're relatively well financed. TOTO Capital are relatively well financed. ILUS on its own is relatively well financed. We've got a big investor pool. So, we're not at risk of the coin going anywhere. We're in this for the long haul. If it takes a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, ultimately this coin will eventually become a name brand. I have no doubt about it. And there's obviously lots of steps we need to go about to get there, but we're dedicated and committed to do it, and we will do it, I have no doubt. So on the roadmap, we're launching this platform for the leasing, so volunteers can come in and actually basically upload the equipment that they need, and then we'll be able to do the deals to actually provide them the equipment they need. We're still sitting on the pool of cash from the initial pre-sale. As I said before, we haven't used it. It's there for equipment. A small fraction was paid for listing fees, but that's it. And then behind, following on from the leasing equipment, we hope to be able to deliver our first project very, very early in 2022, which we'll be announcing more information about that particular project, which we would like them to actually upload. The project has already been agreed behind the scenes, but we hope that we'll be able to actually let them go through that, being the first one through the whole cycle of uploading it onto the profile, onto the leasing platform, and then we actually deliver it through ILUS, and everybody actually sees that model starting to work, which we're pretty sure once people start to see the first delivery and get news of the first delivery and visual images of the first delivery, et cetera, I think that will again be a really good thing for the coin community, that people will see this, this has validity and it's going somewhere. And then we just need more and more of it. So we just need to keep doing more and more and more of it. So we will be revising the roadmap on the white paper. I think I just touched on it that, we need to be flexible enough that, and I think that's what I was saying, that crypto has maybe been a bit guilty of it, that it's not a white paper that you just deliver once and that's it, and the business works, the coin works in that way. It's just not like that, and it shouldn't be like that. Behind these are living, breathing, eating people, real life problems and real life challenges that will happen and change. The world is changing, the economies are changing, the globe is changing. So as those things start to change and evolve, so should the white paper. The white paper really, the tokenomics should never change, and ultimately it can't change. It's on the blockchain. The tokenomics are the tokenomics. That's the blockchain. That is the safety for coin holders in the crypto space that the blockchain brings. The tokenomics are the tokenomics. That smart contract is written, it's done, it is what it is. But the evolving business around the smart contract and around the tokenomics should be evolving. If something's not working, you need to bring it back on course. You need to introduce something new. You need to continue to evolve, because ultimately we need to deliver coin holder value. And that means we need to be fluid enough to keep developing and keep finding what brings the value. And on that basis, we will keep doing that. So the roadmap's being evolved, being updated. Some of the terminology and some of the wording around the white paper will be slightly tweaked for an improvement. You'll only see improvement. No fundamental changes. Basically, let's be real simple. There's no changes. What's really changing is an addition of stuff, an improvement of stuff, a slight tweaking of stuff, and the time scale really. But the actual coin itself is not changing. There's nothing changing behind it. And we really hope that through 2022, with our own in-house team, our updated business plan, white paper if you want to call it that, our new roadmap, the success of ILUS International on its own, we hope that we're going to have a great year. We hope that the coin's going to do great things. We hope we're going to get more volume into the coin. We hope the price is going to move a lot more once all those things start to take place, as the first project starts to get delivered early in the new year, as people can start to see the lending platform. And we look forward to more and more coin holders being a part of it. We'll start to do some coin holder events, which the marketing team will start to introduce over the next few weeks and months. A little bit like ILUS International has done and is doing. So they'll give an opportunity for coin holders to engage with us, meet the team, meet me, meet the people behind it, visit some of the ILUS factories, and actually see stuff and be a part of this journey. This is not a sterile coin where you buy it and just hope it goes up in value and see what happens. This is not that. You can very much get in part of saving people's lives, enjoying the journey, making a profit. And now I'd like to welcome you to spread the word amongst your friends and community. Spread the word, and ultimately it's going to benefit everybody. So I'd like to thank you for either being a coin holder or a potential coin holder, certainly for taking the time out to watch this video. I know it may be time consuming for you, but ultimately we would like to thank you very much and welcome you on our journey.